Fire Emblem Engage, which is the newest Fire Emblem that released on the Switch not too long ago, which is of course something I had to grab as a long-standing Fire Emblem fan. Yes, I have been a fan since the days of Blazing Sword with Lynn, Hector and Eliwood, which were good times to be honest. And so I decided to grab this one, play through it, and of course also, now make a video about it. Now, one thing to mention really quickly is this is the first Fire Emblem ever that I attempted and also beat on the maddening difficulty or similar. I think it was called Lunatic in the old games. But so far I've only been playing them casual. This one is the first one I've beat on maddening. I'm super proud of it, super happy about it, and it also gave me a much better understanding of how Fire Emblem game works basically. Enough talking, let's talk about why you also should play Fire Emblem Engage.
I won't let anyone down!
So in order to give you a decent review of this game, I will be breaking this video down into multiple categories, talking about them and giving you my personal opinion on these things. So I would say we jump right into it with general game mechanics. Fire Emblem Engage introduces a new, unique way of enhancing your units by giving you emblems that you engage with. The engage mechanic feels interesting and quite overpowered in my opinion. The way it works is that you can engage once your engage meter fills up, and then you are empowered for 3 to 4 turns, and you can use special abilities that come with these emblems. Depending on the emblem that you use, your unit goes from being barely useful to insanely strong. Now imagine what happens if you put a good emblem onto a good unit. It's a massive powerhouse, and nothing wrong with that to be honest. Emblems also give you certain passives and other abilities that overall enhance your unit quite a lot and make them super strong. Personally, the emblem mechanic is something I really enjoyed. It also makes the game quite fun. The best part of course is that old heroes come back and made an appearance in this game, really hitting home hard. Hector is one of my favorite characters who came with the latest DLC, and I had to drop the buck instantly to get this guy for my units. Something else that is new and a bit confusing at first are the way promotions now work. Second seals and master seals do change or promote your unit, but you do not have to grind to level 20 first, which is what we're used to. Instead of keeping your unit in their base class until level 20 to get the most out of your leveling, you can now instantly promote them as soon as you can to their advanced class. Once you reach 20 on that, you can use a second seal to restart the leveling process. Part of me thinks that this is a really good change and something that makes master seals earlier useful and also in general makes your unit stronger, while on the other hand, it just feels weird and wrong since I'm so used to pushing unit to level 20 before promoting them. Overall though, I'd say it's a good change. But the biggest and best change by far that I have noticed in this game is that your weapons do not have any durability. You can use them for as long as you want. No more repairing, no more breaking, nothing. You can say this takes away some of the depth of the game, and I can understand that. For someone that likes min-maxing, that could be a small problem, but overall for the casual player base, this change is probably the best change in the game. You can use your favorite legendary weapon without thinking about them breaking at some point down the road. Personally, this is overall a thumbs up from my side, but another reason why this is also important is because the emblems allow you to engrave, aka enhance those weapons with certain aspects that make them stronger. Those are the biggest changes that I've noticed, but keep in mind I'm not a crazy hardcore Fire Emblem fan, but these changes were something that stood out to me comparing it to older games that I played, and that I wanted to note here. Otherwise, as always, you have the very standard turn-based battle system and triangle system, which is something I love about Fire Emblem. Overall, game mechanic-wise, this game is super solid in my book, bringing some of the best changes and refreshing changes that I have seen in this franchise, and makes me really love the game and giving me the opportunity to focus on other aspects like the story and the characters. Which is also going to be my next point, character and unit design. By the way, if you made it this far in the video, really consider liking and leaving a comment, which helps me in the battle against the algorithm and is super appreciated, and it only takes a second. Thank you. I really love the cast of this game. Not only as mentioned above, old heroes that are deep in my heart are making a comeback to give you some of that nostalgia, but many new characters are introduced into this game, and some of them have really good design. Not only visual design, but personality-wise too. The Brodia brothers are two of my favorite characters, and following their personal support and story even made me shed a tear sometimes. I think that this game introduced a few characters I could see living on as legacies, like getting into Super Smash Bros. Just because they are actually really well designed. Another small note I want to make is that overall the English voice acting has been top notch for most characters. Some are not so great, but that's only because they pale due to the comparison of other characters like a fan favorite Yunaka, who has a voice actress that has done an insanely good job in this game. But as much as I love the cast of this game, I have to now voice something I disliked: the main character. And honestly, everything about her. I'm gonna refer to the MC as her, as I played on female, and it just makes more sense to me that way. Overall, visually the MC really has a design as if a 13-year-old has made it, in my opinion. While the color choices do make sense because of the story, it still doesn't look good in my opinion. I think it's one of the worst designed characters in the game franchise from an MC point of view. But not only that, her personality is really lame and bland. She feels like the most boring paper-written main character hero arc person you will ever meet, growing from being a small-time hero to a big champion kinda, but not really having any personality. I know it sounds harsh and maybe my take here is too strong on this, but man, I really dislike the main character in this game. I don't want to say dislike, but I couldn't care for her and the fate she went through in the story at all. Just to let you know, for those that have played the game, in chapter 11, I felt much more towards Diamond and what happened in that chapter than any single time for the main character. But let's stop for now. I don't want to be too mean or rude and worst case upset someone that feels differently about this, of course. Now, I really love the cast, unit design in this game. I also like the villains that you don't get to play, but I really do like their design too. The only one I don't like as much is the main character, as I said, but that's of course my personal opinion. On to the next big part of this game, the story. I'm going to talk about some spoiler stuff in this section, yet I will be splitting it into two parts, one without spoilers and one with spoilers, because I really need to share my take on some parts of the story. So for starters, the story was alright. I don't think it was something I will remember for a very long time, nor is it something that moved me like crazy at some point. It is quite generic in my books until like certain things happen, but these things didn't really make me like it more, is what I want to say. Overall, I wouldn't expect too much from it, which is a shame, as I really like the overall cast of the game. If you are a pure story enjoyer playing Fire Emblem casual, this could be a bit disappointing, to be honest. But if you play this game for a mix of story and gameplay, it is absolutely fine in my books, but not something to write home about. Now on to the part where I talk about some spoilers, so if you haven't finished this game, skip to the next section, which you can find in the description, and I will display the time on the screen. Alright, spoilers are ahead, boys, you are warned. I want to say this straight. The best part of this game was chapter 11, Diamond and Alchris talking to their corrupted dad. The things they said before attacking him actually made me tear up because it felt so genuine and good. The whole rest of the story felt so generic. AK, move here, collect these rings and defeat evil. I'm sorry, but couldn't anyone have come up with something better? Like, don't get me wrong, generic stories are okay, and it was fine until Aliar decided to die 1,000 times, but always making it back because of some coincidence. I really hated it, actually. I don't know. I know the main character of the story cannot die, of course not. But why did it have to be this way? Why did they have to try and make someone relatable towards the end when he was supposed to be the antagonist of this whole game. Same can be said for Grizz and Zephyr, by the way, who suddenly were insanely human when they died, but were absolutely little bitches before that. I have quite a lot of issues with the story and how it just became a massive mess towards the end, in my opinion. But I think I might make another video about it because it would be too much to talk about it in this one. I would love to hear your opinion on it, but please make sure to tag spoilers if you mention something spoilery in any of the comments. Alright, back to spoiler-free zone. You're good now, don't worry. There's one thing I cannot leave out when rating a game for myself, and that is the music. I have to talk about the music, which is what we're gonna do now. For Fire Emblem Engage, there was one track that stood out, and I have been playing it for most of this video. It is by far the best track this game has, besides maybe Chapter 11 again, having a really good track. Don't get me wrong, this game has decent music. It's totally fine. It has some, great tracks that you can enjoy during your gameplay. Nothing that makes you want to mute the music or anything, but it does not have Foden Winds. I'm sorry, but Foden Winds was just too good, and you know that. Foden Winds or Together We Ride are just insane. They are. And Fire Emblem overall had a lot of insane bangers, but Engage hasn't brought many of them for me. Again, this is a personal opinion though. The music was totally fine and good, but nothing that stood out to me. The last category is the Somniel. This is a very minor spoiler, but basically after 2-3 chapters you get access to the Somniel, which is your hub zone where you can do various activities to get resources, enhance units and so on. You get the idea. But I do like the idea of a hub, of course. I felt at some point that I just had to spend too much time in it to optimize my units, and it became obnoxious. The fishing in this game is also not as good as it could be in my opinion, and well, the training exercises are flat out boring. Overall, this zone is not a big deal, but I felt like talking about it, and I do believe that if you play on normal or hard, you don't need to spend as much time optimizing as I did on maddening, I guess, but overall, the Somniel could have been better. Enough categories for now. I think that's pretty much everything that is worthy to really mention. I just now want to start with my final review of Fire Emblem Engage. Fire Emblem Engage is a super fun game. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I restarted multiple times and I finished it on maddening without a single unit dying. It was a lot of work and it was a lot of fun, and it's overall a pretty good title, but it has some flaws when it comes to the story in my opinion, and the music could be a notch better. It's good, but yeah, it's not Foden Winds, if that makes sense. Overall, I definitely think you should give this game a go if you enjoy Fire Emblem games, absolutely. Are you new to the franchise? Well, maybe you should start with Three Houses. I think overall Three Houses was the better package of Fire Emblem and is probably a better game to start on. Especially because you get the insane replayability with the different routes and that the game just offers to you so easily. This of course can also be done in the new game, in the Engage of course, by just using different units or making yourself some small challenges. Fire Emblem Engage is by far not a weak game, but it's also not the strongest that is still currently available to get a hold of easily, and something every Fire Emblem fan should play though. I don't regret any of the hours I spent on this game or any of my money. I would rebuy it again and play it again. The nostalgia that came with some of the emblems was also another factor why I enjoyed this game so much. My overall rating would be a solid 8 out of 10. Making this a fantastic game that is absolutely worth your buck, with some minor drawbacks that could have been better, but not something that really breaks the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now remember, I'm new to reviewing games and I want to make the best possible out of this. So if you guys have any form of feedback or criticism, please put it in the comments. Tell me what you think I could improve and what I could touch upon that I didn't touch upon, for example. Or anything else that comes to your mind. I read every single comment, I promise you. And I just want to obviously make the best game reviews possible, and that's only doable by improving and trying. So I hope for now this was really good. If you did like the video, make sure to like it and also leave a comment because that helps insanely with the battle against the algorithm on YouTube. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else to say, so As always, wishing you an amazing rest of your day, wherever you live.